I'm Graham Aldridge and I'm the Deputy Head Teacher here at Range High School in Formby, near Liverpool. We currently teach a mixture of BTEC and A-Levels. At the moment, we're considering whether or not to start offering the International Baccalaureate programme to our students. Obviously, we've done a lot of research on the internet, but there's nothing like seeing the real thing. So I'm here at Harrogate Grammar School in North Yorkshire to see the IB in action. They've been running the IB for just 1 year.
But we have a lot of fairly bright students here, and we were looking for to differentiate the curriculum, and one of the ways of doing that was to introduce the IB in the sixth form.
Can you tell me a little bit about the structure of the course?
Yeah, it's quite different from A-Levels because you buy into a whole package. You do 6 subjects which are very broadly based. 3 of them you do at higher, which they're a bit like A-Levels, and 3 of them you do at standard levels, which are a little bit like AS. In the centre is a really important bit of the theory of knowledge, the TOK, and then you've got the CAS in the centre, which stands for Creativity, Action and Service, which is all those things, those non-academic things that students do that broaden their experience.
So how does a sixth form that teaches IB differ from a sixth form that teaches A-Levels?
Well, I think any sixth form could deliver the IB. It's more the experience the student gets that's different. I think the IB is a whole package, and it has an ethos behind that. A-Levels have become very much bite-sized chunks. You do a module, you do an exam at the end of it, you can resit, you can build on, you gradually build things up over the 2 years. I think with the IB, you're building in experience over a 2-year period. It's all tested at the end, and it's really for committed students who can see the whole thing through.
So you teach A-level chemistry and IB chemistry. How do they differ?
Right. Well, they are quite different. The A-level chemistry, you're aiming very much for a module exam, which might just be a few weeks later, and you tend to concentrate on that body of knowledge. With the IB chemistry, you've got to put together the whole 2-year package, so there's far more opportunities to put chemistry in from other areas, much more synthesising of knowledge together. And some aspects of it are more challenging. It goes to a higher level in some aspects. What you've got happening are 2 reactions, okay? You've got the peroxide disulfite there, and that's reacting with the iodide ions to give you the iodine.
The IB encourages students' personal development through participation in extracurricular activities. I'm going to find out more about that by talking to the students themselves. The students' knitting project is the creativity part of the CAS component of the diploma programme.
We decided we wanted to do something different during our registration times. We had an idea of knitting, and I said, well, one of the rooms is a bit bare, so if we made a blanket and attached it to the wall, and if everyone tried to knit a square.
Do most people end up doing the same things, or do you do lots of different activities?
I volunteer on a hospital ward once a week for a couple of hours, just talking to patients, like helping them feed themselves, or just do little things like that.
I do some work for voluntary work for Bernardo's, and also for one of their little offshoots, Harrogate Action for Inclusive Leisure, which helps to include children with learning difficulties or disabilities in local activities, so things like scouts and that sort of thing.
My service, I help out a brownie pack, and I think that's really helped me gain in confidence, and I've also done a leadership qualification from that as well.
It all sounds wonderful. Are there any things about it that aren't so good?
The class sizes are very small in some of our lessons, which is not so good if it's a discussion-based lesson, because you don't get the variety of opinions and points to debate and things, but it's nice to have a close-knit group.
Also, some people find that they feel a bit detached from the A-level people. Because there's only a few of us, you feel almost cut off from the other people. It seems as if we're like the superior out of everybody else, and I know that shouldn't be the case, but it seems like that. I mean, the IB is being changed to I'm better.
Despite their obvious enthusiasm for the IB, the students have one major concern. The IB is marked out of 45, with 35 points being equivalent to about 4 A's at A-level. But IB students seem to get higher offers for university places than their A-level counterparts. Were the things that they didn't tell you that you know, now with the benefit of being in the lower sixth, that you'd prefer to have been told?
There's quite a disparity that we've sort of found recently looking at university prospectuses and things about the points and the grades that different universities ask for.
Because universities ask for AAB at A-level and 38 points, which is like 4 A's. So it's does not correlate the points and everything. So it's more pressure for us to get a better mark.
I was planning on going to, trying to get into Oxford. And I think if I'd have maybe done A-Levels, I probably would have had a better chance of getting 3 A's as opposed to 38 points.
So what would you say have been the highlights so far this year?
We've got a load of really driven, fantastic teachers who
Want to do it.
and really want to help us learn within the structure of the IB, and it really helps that they're there and they're always supporting us.
I think my favourite thing's probably been starting my extended essay, because it's given me the opportunity to study things that I'm really interested in. Next week I'm going to Germany to do some more research, and I just think it's a fantastic opportunity to really study something in depth.
So can you tell me a little bit about theory of knowledge? What is it and how are you finding it?
Well, it's a little like critical thinking, if we're honest. It's sort of like philosophy for beginners.
I think it lets you also sort of challenge what you're being taught. So you're not only just being taught something, you also think about, why was I taught that?
It's nice because you get every point of view coming in, and the debates get very out of control sometimes because there's a lot of strong characters doing the IB. But it's good fun.
It does
relaxing.
challenge those of us with the more inflated egos. I'm afraid I'm one of them. It's interesting to actually think, well, why do I think that? Why do I believe that? Am I right to believe that and to think that?
Okay, my presentation is for theory of knowledge, and my issue of knowledge I'm concerning is indoctrination and picking up on small pieces of knowledge and disregarding the entire picture.
How far do you think it's right to satirise? Do you think it's right to satirise their beliefs? How far can you go in mocking other people's?
Well, I think that's the entire
reasonable
problem.
beliefs?
I think the entire problem is with mocking people's beliefs. I never said in that thing that I believed that the Westboro Baptist Church were wrong. All I said was that I personally, on a personal level, disagreed with what they were teaching to their children. We've all had a lot of experience of each other in this group, and I just think it's time for people to start looking at other people's points of view before considering their own sometimes.
Harrogate seems a very leafy area, middle class if you like. But would the IB work in every school, and would it work in mine? I'm off to somewhere really different, inner city Liverpool. Here at Broad Green in Liverpool, head teacher Ian Andane and IB coordinator Martina Hedges have been running an IB programme successfully for 16 years. Ian told me about his rationale for introducing the IB in Liverpool.
I think it was a combination of circumstances. Anybody who's been involved in education over the past 40 years, I think, appreciates the difficulties that we've had in terms of reaching an agreement, consensus on post-16 education. No other European country has such a narrow end to its examination system. A-Levels highly specialised. So I decided, to have a look to see what alternatives there were. And really, the one that immediately became an option was the International Baccalaureate, the diploma programme. I think a lot of people probably would have been surprised that an inner city community comprehensive school was offering a qualification which on the surface looks very elitist and very challenging. When you actually look into it, it actually has potential for a whole range of students.
Why are you going to do that? Who's that going to benefit? Who's that going to benefit? The children? Yeah.
So Martina, can you tell me a bit about how the course is actually structured?
It's centred around the hexagon of 6 groups. A1, which is English, or their language, then modern language, and then group 3 is individuals and societies, group 4 is experimental sciences, group 5 is mathematics and computer science, and then group 6 is the arts, visual arts, theatre arts and music. However, in that group, you can actually put in another science or another language if the student wants to specialise, for example, in medicine or dentistry. And then underpinning that in the middle is the core, the theory of knowledge, extended essay, and the CAS, which is creativity, action and service.
That is the real heart of the diploma programme.
It is.
Everything centres around
it does.
that.
And the theory of knowledge is the one subject that, or the one area that I think develops and moves on the students so much, doesn't it? Through so many different areas.
The making and having to give presentations in the theory of knowledge, it really does alter, I think, students' perspective. It takes them out of their comfort zone and they're put into an environment which challenges them far, far more then I think A-level.
Yesterday you had a short introduction to Africa, and we realised that it's a continent of some size. Looking at it, because some of you will be going to IBSCA, International Baccalaureate Schools Council conference. And
It's created an international ethos in the school. Obviously the subject themselves have that international part, but the school, I mean, you look at the makeup of our sixth form at the moment, we've got them from all over the world, and then that permeates them then down to the lower end of the school as well. They bring something very different and enriching to the rest of the school, and I think the IB has started that.
This international ethos is reflected by the number of foreign languages on offer at Broad Green. Many, like Japanese, are studied from scratch.
I start then. 昨日アズダに行ってバナナを買いました。バナナを買って。
昨日スーパーマーケットに行きました。バナナとリンゴと野菜と
ステーキとチーズとアイスクリームと
肉とオレンジと
3、2、1
Game over.
Game over. Okay. Well done.
What sort of standard do you expect them to reach by the end of 2 years from ab initio?
Well, I think there will be, it's quite a difficult exam. It's almost as difficult as A-level. But the most challenging thing for learning Japanese is learning the written side of it, plus all the pictures that you have to learn. We call them kanji. The students need to know to be able to write about 100 kanji and to recognise about another 150.
Right.
So that it's quite challenging, really, and it's completely different. I mean, the grammar and everything, you've got nothing to base it on.
And are there many secondary schools in the northwest that teach Japanese, either at pre-16 or post-16 level?
I think this is the first time, really. It's a one-off, really, for Liverpool, anyway. And I think it's very brave of Broad Green to take it on.
If Broad Green wasn't an IB school and was just delivering A-levels, do you think there'd be opportunities for people like you to come in and deliver Japanese in this way?
I don't think so.
I'm going home feeling really positive about the IB. I've learnt a lot from my 2 visits. The key thing to the IB seems to be the broad range of subjects that the students study, 6 subjects instead of the usual 3 or 4 at A-level. And just as important is the theory of knowledge, which is really teaching students to think for themselves. And then there's the extended essay, which is almost like the sort of studying you do at university. And there's CAS. The students are encouraged to participate in extracurricular activities. I've been really impressed with what I've seen today, particularly the range and depth of the activities the students are involved in, and also how articulate and independent they seem. It's given me a lot of food for thought. There's a lot to find out, but I really do think the IB could be right for our school.
In the second programme of the series, we'll be looking at the practical steps you need to take if you're serious about introducing the IB into your school.